Happy Wednesday morning, Mountaineer fans. It's Chris, it's Mike, it's earsports.com, taking up 3+ minutes of your morning. Today, we're talking about Tuesday's big news. West Virginia University announces that they have given head coach Neal Brown a 1-year extension.
Hmm.
Mike broke down some of the details of that contract on the message board for our VIP members as the news broke. We got to discussing it, and I think we need to touch on it a little more, Mike, because do we have winners and losers from this?
Yeah, I think that you could flip a coin, and if you came up on West Virginia or Brown, you could argue that he won or they won, and you would be right. You could also argue that he lost or they lost, and you could also be right. We're in this like binary thing where you have to have a winner and a loser, and I understand that's why we're here. Sometimes you just land in the middle. It's not a draw, it's not a stalemate, but like everybody got a little bit of what they wanted here too. So we can go in a little bit more here, but you could write headlines in favor of each side right now, and you could write headlines that kind of question the incentive or the outcome for each side too, which means that you're right in the middle, and that's not bad.
Yeah, I think when I first saw it, first tried to get the details, I think I used the term, I said, they lowered the buyout, which is accurate, but not, but maybe is. Because if you went through and I did math, and someone could check my math here, but it was essentially under the old deal, it was he was going to get paid 8.6 million if he got fired after the 2024 season. That was the 100% of his remaining 2 years of salary. Now his salary goes down according to the new contract, but it gets the extra year, but it's 75%. Long story short, the total for that is 9.5 million. So it's a little more, almost a full million more in Neal Brown's pocket if he gets fired. But West Virginia can pay that out over 3 years instead of two, which makes it a more manageable payment. So it's a lot of nuance in here of wins, losses, how it all works. And again, like you said, that's how we maybe end up in something that's not quite as binary of winner and loser, but a little bit of good and a little bit of bad both sides. Where are you standing on this? Are you square in the middle of the gray area?
No, no, of course not, right? I just think it's good business to get done, and for that, I think it's good for West Virginia. That said, just what you mentioned, Neal Brown gets the headline. I got a contract extension. That's a win for him, absolutely. Especially off a 9-win season that maybe people aren't completely convinced about. But from 1,000 yards away, you're going to see the headline: Neal Brown extended. Okay. Conversely, West Virginia has this albatross of a 100% buyout that was keeping them from doing business before. Like that's one reason that they did not fire him, and that's one reason they did fire the athletic director. Now you have a headline: West Virginia lowers buyout. That's a win. But when you get into both of those, Brown is extended for less annual salary. West Virginia knocks down the buyout, but still owes more money. So a win is a loss and a loss is a win. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but that's the case. And then there's this perception thing too, where Brown takes less money because it's going to be reinvested in the program. That sounds awesome. Chris, if he goes 6-6 next year, no one is going to pat him on the head and say, come back. You did a solid for the program in April. They're going to say, no, pack your bags and get out of here. But we pay you 75% of what we owe you to go away. So all these things are good in the moment, but matter less and less over time. To me, the big thing is that obviously Brown is betting on himself. And for the millionth time, West Virginia likes Neal Brown and wants it to work for him, thinks he's done great things behind the scene and gradually on the field. They've had no conflicts. They do not butt heads on things. And even including here, you sit down, you have this conversation, and West Virginia says, we can't do business unless we get rid of the 100% buyout. And before they can even finish that sentence, Brown goes, I know, I'm not dumb. And they have a conversation that grows into what you have. That's cool. If they don't do this, and Brown bets on himself again and wins again, you risk that harmony. You risk all the stuff that's going in the right direction. People are rowing in sync. If that doesn't work, then it becomes a little bit more toxic. And you have like what you had with Dana Holgerson in 2016 through the end of his time here in 2018, where things were a little bit more rocky. I'm not equivocating Neal Brown to Dana Holgerson. There are a lot of differences there, a lot. But you're keeping the big difference in place right now, which is that he's agreeable. You haven't ticked him off. He's not upset. He's not walking around with a chip on his shoulder. Pretty reasonable guy, pretty agreeable guy. You do this, you give him something, he gives you something. You kind of hold hands across the bridge. And if you do circle back next year after 9 or 10 wins, well, you're not dealing with an aggravated party. You're dealing with someone who said, hey, we made a deal last year. Let's do it again. And everybody who lost leverage or gained leverage remembers that. But they also remember that they lost leverage, they gained leverage. And if they gained leverage, they lost leverage. So this is kind of a bit of a circular logic, but you don't have to go to the finish line when you start moving together on stuff like this. So to me, it's not fun, it's not sexy, it's not argumentative, but to say both sides did okay here and land in the middle, that seems fine to me.
Okay, I said at the beginning 3+ minutes, and I left that purposefully open ended because I got another piece here for you.
Right?
1 year from now, West Virginia's in the same spot, right? Like if or maybe not 1 year from now, but December, end of December, either they've lost, the season has gone poorly and he's out, or the season has gone well and they are now renegotiating. True or false?
False.
Oh, okay.
I
What's
just don't see the
happening in December?
renegotiation with him making the larger salaries in the back end and West Virginia already kind of capitulating to the fourth year, which I'm not sure a lot of administrators believe in. Recruiting is such a year-to-year thing now, and the transfer portal thing is so important. I'm not sure you have to talk to people about my coach has 4 years. Yeah, I'm going to be here for 4 years for you to play for me. I don't think that matters as much. You can fact check me on that, Chris, but I just think the game has changed so much that that's not as big of a dynamic. And also, if you're paying him 4.3 and 4.4 in years 3 and 4, that's a commitment to the future there too. And it means, hey, we can do this again, but like we'd like to see something that worked out. If he does it again next year and they win above and beyond, you can have that conversation. I'm not sure you have to execute the agreement. And more importantly, you probably have to come to the table with more things you need and want that you did not get here. Chris, what does Neal Brown walk away with here that he does not have that he wants? He got salaries, he got more years, he got the buyout, yeah, reduced, but he can make more cash off it. I don't know what realistically he could want apart from more years. And if West Virginia just gave him a year, why are you going to do that every year? Like you would just build in a renewing clause in the contract, which doesn't exist, which means that I don't think there's a rush to do that. That's part of the negotiation. Conversely, did West Virginia give things away that it didn't want to this year? Maybe. Are they going to come back and fix that next year? I don't think so. So I would be surprised if you don't have a blowaway season, 12-1 playing in the college football playoff. Yeah, sure, that's different. But run of the mill, something similar, something not exotic, I don't think they're back at the table again.